Hi there. This is the all-new 2020 Toyota Corolla Sedan. And if you think it looks a lot like the 2019 Corolla hatchback I reviewed last year, you would be correct. For whatever reason, Toyota released the hatchback first in 2019, and now the sedan model follows for 2020. So, Toyota invited me to come take a look at the new Corolla Sedan, and I was able to drive the three most interesting versions, including the new Corolla SE Hybrid. That's the first ever Corolla Hybrid sold in North America, capable of over 50 miles to the gallon. So, here we go. So, on the road with the new 2020 Toyota Corolla Sedan, and fortunately I have the good news of saying this is a pretty nice place to spend time. This particular sedan is an SE level, so it has the 2-liter engine, which is a slight bump up from the 1.8-liter base engine. This particular car has the continuously variable automatic transmission. And fortunately, it's quite good. This powertrain combo seems like a really nice pairing overall. The CVT is pretty responsive, which is nice. Sometimes it can feel kind of unnatural and kind of like a rubber band slingshot effect. This car has none of that. Additionally, this car has a manual mode. You slap the shifter over to manual. The CVT will replicate conventional gears like an automatic transmission. However, because it doesn't have conventional gears like a normal automatic, the sensation is that it feels pretty immediate. The acceleration feels pretty punchy and potent. This is definitely a pretty quick little car for what it is. Now, the nice thing about this new Corolla is that it's very, very quiet. I know that for a fact because I'm speaking to you at a much lower register than I speak in some other vehicles. So, like all new Toyota products, the new 2020 Corolla has Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, and that basically means this has all the reactive and predictive safety stuff you could ever want on a vehicle. Though it's worth noting that for me, my favorite piece of safety tech, blind spot monitoring, is still an optional add-on for this car. This particular car has it, but as part of a $1,500 bundle, you have to add the Corolla to get that feature. Now, because there are three different powertrain options here, the 1.8-liter engine, a 2-liter engine, and now the new 1.8 hybrid, as well as two different transmissions, I think the best way to help you understand all the different model lineups is to give you a nice little chart I'll try and put right here to kind of explain the base pricing of all the different model combinations. That way you kind of have a feel for what you may be looking for and what you can get into and what your sort of price point is. Do you hear that? This is the sound of the all-new Toyota Corolla Hybrid. Or should I say, the not sound, because other than a very faint whir, you don't really hear anything. Actually, I'll admit I made a bit of a fool of myself in front of the Toyota reps because I was sitting there trying to turn the car on, only to realize it had been on the whole time, but because it's a hybrid, the actual gasoline engine is not running when you're just sitting there. Now, I have to say, this is definitely the most interesting Corolla in the lineup for me personally, just to see that it finally brought Corolla Hybrid to the United States. For a long time, it was a Japanese-only sort of deal, and I think this is an interesting place for Toyota because Toyota is almost ubiquitous with Prius, right? The Prius lineup is kind of everywhere. Name brand recognition is at an all-time high, and at this point, Prius has diversified into so many different kind of model variants. You may almost wonder, well, what's the point of a Corolla Hybrid? Well, here's the big takeaway features. Corolla is slightly smaller than Prius. It costs about $900 less than a base model Prius. I believe the base price for this car is $22,950, and that gets you a 1.8-liter hybrid powertrain with a CVT transmission, just like the other Corolla. It's rated at 121 horsepower and 105 pound-feet of torque combined, which doesn't sound like much, so I'm sure it's not particularly quick, but the trade-off is this: 53 mpg city, 52 mpg highway, and 52 mpg combined. Now, on the inside, other than the lack of engine noise, which is very calming and quieting and very nice, this is basically all standard Corolla fare here, so all the buttons and options are the same as any other model, so there's no real trade-off there. Though it's worth noting that for 2020 at least, Toyota is only offering the Corolla Hybrid as the LE model, so it doesn't have all the sporty exterior stuff or technically all the premium options you can get on like an XSE or an XLE, typical gasoline-powered Corolla, for example. Though I would say that most of the general niceties you get in the new Corolla are present here, so much as that I wouldn't really complain. The only thing I'd really miss versus other models is the cooler exterior styling, but that's just my personal preference. The same general principles of a very quiet, very refined cabin are here. This car has the optional and nicer center display here. And wow, look at that. I was actually pretty concerned, to be genuine with you, that with 121 horsepower and 105 pound-feet of torque, moving a car that weighs, I think, around 3,100 pounds, it'd be pretty slow. But in all honesty, no. Because that electric motor is basically filling in any gaps in torque that the 1.8 liter engine might not have naturally, it feels very smooth. It definitely has enough passing power to kind of get you by. Are you going to be winning any stoplight drag races with it? Of course not, but that's not the point. Compared to the gasoline-powered Corolla, Corolla Hybrid does not really lose much in the way of usability. There is no compromise in terms of trunk space at all, which is pretty cool, and that's because the battery packs in this car are kind of small, and where they actually are located is underneath the rear seats of this car. However, the good thing is that despite being located underneath these rear seats, there's actually no loss of headroom or hip room in the rear seats versus the standard gasoline-powered model. Okay, so unfortunately I can't play any audio from this thing, otherwise I'll get demonetized on YouTube. Bummer, but the audio system in this car is okay. I think this interface is clean, minimalist, kind of simple, but it is pretty slow, all things considered. Takes kind of a minute for it to kind of like load and process what you're trying to do here, like that. And it all feels nice, very simple to get around. This thing's my first time playing with this system, but again, pretty bare bones, kind of slow, but there we go. It's worth noting this car, you can now get Apple CarPlay on here. I know Toyota's kind of slow to adapt that. Android Auto is not on this car yet, though it is coming according to Toyota. Might be a 2021 thing. Okay, so this event is really cool, seeing all the different trims of Corolla out here. It's also quite a scramble because there's not much time to kind of drive all these cars, which kind of explains why I've done the video the way I have. But the one last car I want to get drive time in here is the 2020 Toyota Corolla Sedan. This one also has the 2-liter dynamic force engine, 169 horsepower, 151 pound-feet of torque. Should be sufficient to move a 3,000-pound car, but this one has the 6-speed stick, and it's also the XSE one, kind of the sporty one. Now, if you remember a few months ago, I drove the 2019 Toyota Corolla hatchback XSE with a 6-speed, same powertrain as this car, and it seems like by and large the internet really liked that car. I mean, it has really cool styling, a decent manual transmission, a decent little engine, and pretty decent handling. And so basically, if for some reason you are not a fan of the hatchback styling, now you can get the sedan. Same basic deal, same hardware, which is nice. So you have a pretty decent shifter here, an okay clutch, a little peppy little engine. And again, it's not going to win any stoplight drag races, but it makes it for a much more fun commuter car. I don't know if it's my manual transmission proclivities just trying to sway me here, but I swear that this engine for some reason does sound a little bit sweeter when paired with the manual. I'm not sure if there's any real reason to that, maybe it's the way I'm driving the car, but it does seem to sound just a little bit smoother, a little bit less grainy than the CVT can sometimes make this car sound. So I have to say that with this new Corolla, I think they've done a really good job on the interior materials across the board. Behind the camera, the dashboard is nice and padded. It's a two-tone in this car, but there's several different combinations you can get. This is white and black, and it looks quite classy and quite nice. Seems to be a lot of leather in here. Whether or not it's real or fake, it still looks pretty cool. Interestingly, I actually do like the piano black trim this car has. Now, a lot of times if you see piano black interior trim, it might look cool on the showroom floor, but less cool once you realize that it basically shows every fingerprint, smudge, and stain imaginable. However, in this car, I guess with the contrast of the white, I think it looks quite nice. Also, credit where it's due, these seats are also quite comfortable. Again, I'm 6'1", 190 pounds, give or take, and I'm supremely comfortable in this car. I have tons of headroom, tons of leg and knee room behind the camera here, and the shape of the seats in general are very, very comfortable. This particular Corolla, the XSE with the 2-liter engine and the 6-speed stick, is definitely kind of the enthusiast choice if you need a really practical family car. Because it has the 18-inch wheels, look really cool, has the nicer body kit, really the sport exterior stuff, and I think the pairing with the 2-liter engine and the 6-speed stick makes it fun enough for the daily commute while still being very, very fuel efficient. I will say that if you have about 23 to 24 grand to spend and you are interested in the XSE trim Corolla with the dynamic force engine and the 6-speed stick, I do recommend you take a look at my Corolla hatchback video. It's very in-depth, very detailed, kind of explains everything you need to know about this basic platform, because I'm going to try my best to cover as much as I can about the 2020 Corolla Sedan in this video, but I cannot cover everything in that video. It definitely kind of covers the basics you really want to know about this car. Yeah, this thing's definitely peppy enough for a daily driver. That's for sure. Ooh. Lock the tires there.